Really get back. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
So what I'd like to do is just start the program today. My name is Paul Yeomans, and I am your outgoing president today. So, which actually, it's sad, but it also feels really good. With that, I'm going to go through our normal announcements, and I just want to thank Don and Alejandro for Sound Ideas for good videos every month. Thank you so much. You can catch them on my website. I want to thank our sustaining members. I'd like to thank all the members also, because we are a membership organization. Without you, we're not the Sonoma County Alliance. And we got some surprises today that I will let the incoming president talk about. But hopefully you saw a few changes downstairs and the logo. So it's looking pretty cool. Personally, I just like to thank a few presidents before me. Marlene Soylent, Kimberly Wade, Janet Connors. What a great group of people. I want to thank the board this past year. You've been insightful, you've brought up great conversation. It's been dynamic, we've had a lot of changes, but to have the voice and hear your voices on the board really make a difference. So we're going to do some nominations this year for board members. Next year, if you're interested, please sign up and try to be on the board. With that, I got a lot of things to say, but I'm going to keep it short. The most important thing is the Alliance is going on its 50th year. We've accomplished a lot in those 50 years when it comes to policy, bringing people together, and really making excellent changes in Sonoma County. And one of those that I'm probably most proud of from last year was Measure J, which was a sounding no. And this morning, when I drove up here, I love the fragrance. That is exactly what we want in this community. Exactly. So, again, thank you for being members. I can't tell you what an honor it is to be or have been the president last year. It is something, after participating in the Alliance for over 20 years, you know, it means a lot. So, thank you for supporting me. The board, everybody else, thank you for your help to make me look good up here, especially Todd. So, two things. I want to shout out to Scott Kincaid for all the hard work he has done. And again, another shout out to Ty Mooney. We would not be who we are today without her vision, her drive, and her energy, so thank you. All right, back to business. So, we are nominating a new board today. If you look on the table, there's cards, and on those cards, you'll see names that are bolded out. Those are the people we're going to be voting for, okay? We have gone through a process. They have applied, they've been reviewed, they are an integral part of the Alliance. They are dedicated people. So with that, I'm going to open the floor to see if there's any other nominations to be a member on the board? If not, we'll move to take a motion for the new board members. So can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? All right, thank you very much. So to the new board members, welcome. We're looking forward to your thoughts, your conversations, and moving us again further into the future and a brighter future. So thank you so much. All right, the moment I've been waiting for. So I have to admit, the incoming president, the energy, the ideas, the focus, he is a genuinely just great, nice guy. And he's going to take us to places in 2025 that will amaze you. So I'm going to ask Ryan Kelly, our incoming president, to come up. And thank you all.
Wow, good morning. Okay, I'm a talker, so it's either 3 minutes and 40 seconds of this or 10 minutes of talking. So I'm going to read. So do me a favor, hold your applause to the end. I want to take a moment to thank our media past president, Paul Yeomans, for your outstanding leadership. Paul, your guidance has changed this organization. It's adapted, it's pivoted in ways that will have lasting impact. We appreciate your dedication and hard work. My father Ken and my mom Judy have been my lifelong mentors and best friends. Through their example, they taught me to be faithful and generous, to love deeply and unapologetically, to be kind and appreciate grace, both when it is given and when it is received. They instilled in me the values of dedication to our business, faithfulness to our team, devotion to our clients, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. They've also shown me the importance of family and the power of community. It was this belief in community that led my father Ken to introduce me to this group 10 years ago. Over the years, by the way, thank you, Ken. Over the years, I have grown to adore this group and its mission, a coalition of business, agriculture, labor, and individuals organized to encourage a healthy economy, maintain a sound environment, protect private property rights, and promote a responsive political process through advocacy and education. As I reflect on this opportunity, I am deeply aware of the incredible legacy of leaders who have come before me. Leaders who have shaped both this organization and our community. I'm honored to follow in the footsteps of some of Sonoma County's greatest business leaders. Leaders like Marlene Zoyland, Janet Connors, Chris Wilson, Scott Kincaid, Kurt Nichols, and so many others. And if I look even further back at some of our trailblazers, Dick Dowd back in 1992, Dennis Harder, who led in 95, Rick Lincecum took care of us in 96, Mick did a couple of years around 1998, and Greg Hurd in 02. We've got Howard Dalton in 06, and Tony Alvarez, Mike Martini in 2011. You guys, these are amazing people. It is not lost on me the footsteps I'm following in. I'd also like to thank Ty, of course, our executive director. Ty, you have been nothing short of amazing since you joined our organization. From day one, your wholehearted dedication to this community has been an inspiration, and I look forward to collaborating with you and the board of directors to continue building on your incredible work. Well done. To our board of directors, thank you for your mentorship, your friendship, for helping solidify my love for our business community. It's a joy and an honor to work alongside you. This year promises to be one of growth, celebration, and opportunity. We're thrilled to unveil a new exciting brand change this morning that has been in the works for quite some time. Our monthly membership meetings will feature extraordinary speakers on engaging topics, and we will be a well-informed business community. We're also ramping up our advocacy efforts in our other local cities, launching mini events like Lunch and Learns, and planning a huge 50th anniversary celebration this year. Side note, if you're a party planner or something, come talk to me, we'd love your help. You guys, it's been an honor to serve in various capacities on committees and on task forces, as secretary, as treasurer, more recently as your vice president. Today, I'm truly excited and humbled to step into this leadership role. I'm looking forward to an amazing year ahead as we work together to continue building a stronger, more vibrant business community. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, business professionals and community leaders, it is with great honor that I accept this role. Thank you.
All right, so I don't love following Ryan there. I do have a little bit of a script because I have some things I want to say. I want to be really intentional about it. But for some context, for those of you who don't know, our process to be elected president is 5 years. Each person serves as a different position in our officers, and all 50 presidents have done that. And they continue to serve on our board, they continue to serve on our committees. It is a big commitment, and to all of you who have done it before, and to those who are on the docket to do it, Tawny, Jason, thank you for making that commitment to this organization, and congratulations for doing that work. You guys are amazing. So, round of applause to everyone who's done that. So I think the theme of the day is a lot of gratitude, and I'm certainly feeling that deeply. I feel it as we enter another year with all of you guys here who care about the business community and who show up month after month to make sure that you're informed on what's happening and who participate actively in Sonoma County. I feel it when I think about our past president, Paul, who served with such strong leadership, who always raised his hand to volunteer to be a part of the solution. He came with a strategic mind, and he was always willing to have hard conversations, which I so appreciate. And looking forward to Ryan, who I have worked with on so many different levels, on projects, on committees, and every time I leave with this sense of admiration, because when Ryan does something, he does it to his best ability. When he commits, he's got the highest integrity, and I'm just so excited to enter 2025 with that mentality and to see where we can go, to build off what we've done with Paul and Janet before him, and all those before those two, before me. So I'm just so grateful for all of you. For our board of directors, this was a year of a lot of changes, a lot of hard decisions, a lot of exploration and hard conversations, and you guys were tried and true the whole time. And I'm really proud unveiling this new logo and what it means and where we're headed. I'm really excited for the future. I'm excited we have 2 new board members coming on, Brent and Kim. Wherever you are, please stand up so we can give you a round of applause. Thank you so much. So excited to see what perspective you guys bring to the table. And to our board members who are renewing terms, thank you guys. Please stand too. Our elected new term, Mick, that's you. You stand up, Mick. Stand up. Janet. And overall, if you guys have any interest in serving and participating more in this organization, we welcome it. Please consider a committee. Please consider applying for the board next year. We want these new voices. We want our pillar voices. We let go of a few this year that ended their terms with us. Ross, Dennis, we had Mike Martini, we had Chris Wilson, people who are pillars who've done so much incredible work for this organization and for our community that are passing the baton, and that is commendable, and I have such deep gratitude. We all should for what they've done for this community. So a round of applause for those folks too. All right, now to business. So we have a new logo and a new look, and we've decided to put business at the very front of it all so people know firsthand what we're doing here with Sonoma County Alliance, now Business Alliance Sonoma County. But our mission remains the same. It's still tried and true. It's right on the front of the logo. You'll see it, economy, environment, advocacy. We are still the same. We are pushing forward. And so just recognize that we're going to continue this great work, and it's really not possible without all of you guys here. And if my thing would work, that would be fantastic. Awesome. All right, and we have a milestone year. Obviously, it's our 50th, and we have so much to celebrate. We're hoping to have little mini celebrations along the way, maybe a tour of Warm Springs Dam to check out some of the original work that was done through this organization, and to really work through the year leading up to our 50th gala. So stay tuned for all of those things. We've got some great programs coming up. Next month, we have Robert Eiler coming to talk about the economy, always a great program. And then we have another conversation on the intersection of education and workforce. We'll have SSU, Kathy from CTE Foundation, SRJC, some pillars of our workforce here in Sonoma County will be coming to talk about those important topics. So please put your calendars on that. And our prepaid program, we are doing them in January. We're not going to be doing them mid-year. It's so much easier to track. It's easier for everyone. So January is the month to get your prepaid in. It's a cheaper price. Give me a call if you need help. It's on our website. You use your member portal to do it. I can send an invoice any way you want it. You just let me know. But get that in January. That would be great. If you already have one that's extending through, we'll just prorate. So just expect that as we move along. And with all of that, we have a program sponsor today, PEP Housing. And I want to welcome them up to come talk a little bit about the important work they're doing. So, PEP Housing, come on up. And they're on there.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Litwack. I am the president and CEO of PEP Housing. I relocated to Sonoma County about a year and a half ago from Southern California, where I was running a national affordable housing firm. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge everything that's going on in LA County right now. I know that we are a community that understands what that type of natural disaster can do. So just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge it, and if you haven't seen my face, it's because I'm new to Sonoma County, so thank you for allowing me to join you all. So PEP Housing, who are we? PEP Housing, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We are an affordable housing developer, owner, and operator of over 1,000 units of affordable housing all throughout the 5 counties in the North Bay, and then also we have 374 units in Los Angeles. We are award-winning. We are vertically integrated, meaning that we do resident services, asset management, property management, and also rehabilitate a number of affordable housing units that otherwise may be going to market. And we are very, very focused on green building practices and sustainability. I want to just give a really brief snippet of who is occupying and living in PEP Housing's units. These are all low-income seniors. The average tenant rent that seniors are paying to live in one of our units is $426. The average income of a low-income senior that's living in our properties is about $14,763. The average age of a senior that's living independently in one of our units is 76. And there is a big need in this community to continue to drive the development of affordable housing. We specifically, obviously, sponsored this program because we are in extreme alignment with everything that Generation Housing is doing. We're huge supporters, we're members. Our board chair, Harry Coffey, who's here with us today, was their housing champion this last year. We're very proud of that. So, yay, Harry. You're going to hear a ton of facts and statistics from Jen a little bit later today, but I just want to root it in senior homelessness. So according to Sonoma County's point-in-time count, there's 28% of our homeless population here in Sonoma County that is experiencing homelessness. And I just pulled from their report the top 5 reasons that people are experiencing homelessness in our county, specifically seniors. And 2 of the top reasons are a lack of access to affordable housing and also the lack of supply in our community. Jen's going to talk a lot about the state of housing here in Sonoma County, And I'm just thinking one of the things she may say is that we need more of it. So we'll see. And I want to just leave you, because I only have 3 minutes, just a did you know. So I want to call your attention to what we call as master plans for aging. The information you're going to hear today, it's a heavy topic. It's sometimes always not the best case, but there's something we can be really proud of as Sonoma County residents. So California, just some fun facts, was the first state in the nation to have a master plan for aging. After California took that lead, the federal government created a master plan for aging at the federal level. Just this last year, within the past 4 to 6 months, Sonoma County won an award from the state of California to create a Sonoma County master plan for aging. I'm very proud to say that our own Vice President of Real Estate Development, Jim Wallen, who's here in the room today, participated very heavily in the production of that report. At the state, federal, and local level, all of these master plans for aging are very specific in what seniors need, and that is housing. It is the #1 thing identified. So we are aligned as a community in identifying what our needs are, and I know that this group, when Jen has her call to action, which she typically does, I know that this group is going to respond in kind. So thank you for the opportunity to just say a little bit about who PEP Housing is, what we're doing in the community, who we're serving, and we appreciate the opportunity to support not only this organization, but all the work that Generation Housing is doing. And in closing, I'm going to do something that I've never done before, which is quote myself. So, in your state of housing, which is on the tables, I said that PEP Housing was founded 46 years ago out of a deep concern for the growing number of seniors in our community who, despite working hard throughout their lives, found themselves struggling to afford safe and stable housing. Today, nearly half, this is very important, nearly half of all Sonoma County homes are owned or being rented by individuals that are 55 and older. As a community, we must address the lack of affordable housing options at affordable levels for seniors in our community. PEP Housing's wait lists exceed 7 years, which underscores the urgent need and growing need for affordable housing options for seniors with limited incomes in our community. As we continue to face these profound challenges of housing affordability in Sonoma County, collaboration and innovation are more crucial than ever. The insights provided in Generation Housing's reports provide a valuable roadmap for how we can all work together to build a future where everyone has access to a place that they can proudly call home. Thank you all so much.
All right. So for those of you who haven't seen that before, that's our program sponsor. We allow for one program sponsor every program. It's $500 to come up here and get your message across. So if you're interested in doing that, please let me know, and we'll get you signed up. All right. We're going to do some self-introduction. So as we come to your table, just stand up and give us your name and your business name. Before we do that, our first one is Tony Spitzman, and if you like that linen out front, that was her work at 707 Promotions. She is awesome, so thank you, Tony.
I'm Tony Spitzman with 707 Promotions.
Good morning, Andre Moran with Browsy Race Consulting Civil Engineers.
Chris Wilson, past president.
Good morning, Lisa Whitty Shafter, Northwest Builder Exchange.
Kathy Goodacre, CTE Foundation.
Good morning, I'm Chris Fiscalini with Comerica Bank.
Good morning, Evelyn Mitchell, Mayor, City of Healdsburg.
Good morning, Trish Griffiths with the Personnel Perspective.
Paul Yeomans, Exchange Bank, past president.
Good morning, Ryan Bucksbaum, Next One Staffing.
Good morning, Jen Close, Generation Housing.
Good morning, Max Zhang, Generation Housing.
Stephanie Scarboen, also Generation Housing.
Good morning, Sonia Big Barwick, Generation Housing.
Pat McDonald, legal aid of Sonoma County.
Ken Kelly, WSI and proud father.
Ryan Kelly, managing partner of WSI Smart Marketing.
And president. Oh, this table, where am I going? My goodness. I'm all over the place. All right, this table. Serious.
All right, John McKay with Wayland.
Brent McCulsky, UCP of the North Bay.
Lisa Hinton, Executive Director in the senior care industry, and also on the side, Sebastopol City Council.
Lauren Walker, GGW Events.
Judy Grossman Walker, JGW events.
Life Carrillo, 4Cs of Sonoma County.
Harry Davidian, digital sensing and control.
Sherry Granzato, Exitos Latino Crush and Mob Radio.
Melissa Galliani, White Country Radio. Janet Connor, Summit State Bank.
Good morning, Dick Dowd, retired and past president of the Alliance.
And Ben Soil, I'm in college.
Good morning, Mark Soil and Soil Company, and my guest, my soon-to-be 20-year-old son. Artie Dexter, Newton Dexter, and some
Good morning, Jen Wolferman, Schoolsville, Sonoma County.
Good morning, Greg Hurd with BKF Engineers.
Good morning, Mick Menendez, District Advisors, past president.
Conrad Fernandez, Fidelity National Title.
Good morning, Jack Byrne, Navigate Inc.
Dan Convin, member of Skate Hack.
All right, Jason. These tables are close, so you can see the screen, which one?
Jason Lee, Roseland School District, and principal of Roseland University Prep.
Brian Barrett, New York Life and Eagle Strategies.
Good morning, Tracy Russo, Hogan Land Services.
Good morning, David Brown, Adobe Associates, Civil Engineers and Land Surveyors.
Good morning, Steve Bertelbaugh with Friends of Smart.
Morning, Jeff Owen with Exchange Bank.
Good morning, Solana Whitehead with Boys and Girls Club of Sonoma Marin.
This feels silly. Jennifer Litwack with Pet Housing.
Jennifer, you did a great job. Terry Coffey, chairman of the board for Pep Housing.
Good morning, Carrie Benz, Pet Housing.
Good morning, Derek Stephens, Sonoma Coast Living.
Sarah Charles, Sonoma Coast Living, and Bodega Bay and Beyond Vacation Home Rentals. Derek is my guest this morning, newly licensed and joining my son and myself after focusing on many things.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ross Powell. I do leadership and team development with Ross Powell Consulting.
Good morning, William Miller with BC Engineering Group.
Good morning. Excuse me, Arthur Cheney, president of the Wonder Black Men of Sonoma County local chapter of the national organization. Thank you.
Danny Sheehan with Friends of Smart, and I want to celebrate the opening of the Petaluma North Station this Friday for the Smart Training.
Rob Sandville, KLH Consulting, and a board member here.
Chuck Rowe, not a board member, Double Eagle Financial, free agent.
Joe Gaffney, St. Vincent de Paul.
Morning, everyone. Claudia Vecchio, Sonoma County Tourism.
All right, now we do this.
Mark Staff, Sonoma State University and Santa Rosa City Council.
Morning, Kurt Nichols, past president, retired.
Rick Carlisle, BKF Engineers.
Group agent, ZFA Structural Engineers.
Justin Hunter, Holly Construction.
Mark Nelson, Mid-State Construction.
Carly Rodriguez, Mid-State Construction.
Hi, Kevin Zuko, ZFA Structural Engineers.
Steve Click, Power Associates. Aaron Smith with Adobe Associates.
Okay, Linda Bowen, Summit State Bank.
Good morning, Tanya Disconi, your Secretary Treasurer of the Business Alliance and owner of Disconi Event and Management Solutions.
Jen Garcia, City of Rohnert Park.
Emily Quigg, City of Rohnert Park.
Mike Pickens, District Rep, Operating Engineers, Level 3.
Ernest Berghoff, I'm broker and CEO of Berghoff Realty.
Gary Lentz, Loan Depot Home Mortgage.
Jim Wallen, Pep Housing.
Judy Dillwood, Christopherson Builders.
Kyle Bencourt, CFA Structural Engineers.
Jen Kalini, Leap Solutions, a division of George Peterson Insurance.
Corey McCormick with Holly Construction.
Kevin Jones, Fast Signs, Site President.
Ryan Stiles, England Volkers Real Estate and Yachting. And the Alliance is pleased to have as our guest this morning, Colette Michaud, the founder and CEO of Children's Museum of Sonoma County. And we have Mike Lopez, partner at the Liberty Company Insurance Brokers, also sits on the board for Sonoma County Museum, and also past president of Elsie Allen Foundation.
Shields, ZFA Structural Engineers.
Scott Kincaid, Facility Development Company and State Back Church.
Miguel Andrade Marin, Golden State Lumber, Santa Rosa.
Pete Leskier, Leskier Engineers.
David De Los Santos with TLC Architecture.
Sean Loring, attorney and business law professor.
Greg Medici, Sonoma County Office of Education.
Samantha Paul, event producer, Samantha Paul Canning Consulting, and president of Northwest Area Chamber of Commerce.
Kimberly Hay, Fidelity National Title.
Sean G., Belgian Race Consulting Engineers.
Nick Caston, Financial Prodigy in the San Jose City Schools.
I'm going to pass it back to Ryan to introduce our speakers.
Thank you, Ty, and great introductions. We're so glad that everybody is here. So today we have a great speaker I'm very excited to introduce. After a 15-year career as a real estate law attorney, Jen transitioned to become the founding executive director of Generation Housing. Her awareness of the local housing crisis deepened while serving as president of the Santa Rosa School Board, where she saw firsthand the challenges of hiring due to local housing costs. The crisis was highlighted during the 2017 Tubbs fire, which displaced 800 students and 100 staff. As a member of SoCo Rises, Jen focused on equity and community voice in wildfire recovery, emphasizing the critical need for affordable housing to support the county's overall health. Jen, who facilitated the conversion of the Palms Inn into supportive housing for the homeless veterans, continues to drive housing initiatives in Sonoma County. I love this last part, guys. In her free time, she enjoys cycling and spending time with her family and dog, Lulu Bell, very cute name, and is known for wearing, get this, crazy socks every Saturday. Let's welcome Jen to the stage.
I'm not Jen. Still works. All right. Take it away.
Good morning, everybody. Jen Close, Generation Housing ED, where we advocate for more and more affordable, more kinds of housing in the North Bay, and but where our lion's share of our work is here in Sonoma County, where we started. And I'm also in a minute going to welcome Matt Sang, our Senior Research Manager, who is the principal data analysis for our last two State of Housing reports, as well as the State of Housing report that we did for the Napa Valley. I usually lead with jokes. You probably know that from other times. That's a little harder today. I think I'm probably not the only one, like Jennifer mentioned, who's a little bit unnerved by the wind, by the warmth, by the smell of smoke in the air from 400 miles away. by the news alerts, and while we know we're safe here, the hills are green and there's water everywhere, I know our hearts are with our neighbors to the south. But our organization, like was mentioned, really was born out of recovery from the wildfires. We know well what is going to go on in the days and weeks and months and years for our neighbors in the south. It's going to be around recovering and recovering better, and that is what Generation Housing started from and led with. So I think it's important to recognize and say that today. The Gen H team, which I'll include, our staff, our board, our members, we are, and our close partners, we don't advocate for housing because we're housing developers or because we are in construction or for the heck of it. We are passionate about the work that we do every day because we are committed to having a better community. We are committed to our organizational vision, which sees a stronger, healthier, more prosperous community, a stronger, more resilient environment. We know that resilience to natural disaster, to economic disaster, to pandemic really comes from a strong community in every sense of the word. And I think that that's something that you all are really bought into. That's an idea that you are part of. So our mission, to advocate for the housing that our community members need really is just a tool to get us there. Building more housing is just a tool to get us there because we think that the resilient community that we all want actually begins with home. We firmly believe, based on data and evidence and honestly a little bit of common sense, that without housing that meets the needs of our families, the vision that we all want simply is not possible. And we are not alone in thinking this. You are not going to find an economic development plan that doesn't have a strong housing component. You're not going to find a climate action plan that doesn't have an affordable housing component in it. You are not going to find a community resilience plan that doesn't have an affordable housing component to it. Disaster preparedness, they say, starts with making sure that everyone is safely, stably, and affordably housed from the beginning when you have a disaster. So we're going to talk about the state of housing, and we'll throw lots of data at you. And this report you can find online. You can look at it as a flip book. You can download it as a PDF. If you want a hard copy, there are a few here. Or talk to us and we'll give you one so you can post it in it. But we also just really want to ground that in our vision and in some context and in the way that housing can be and is intersectional and part of being it is actually a tool for creating a community that we want. And this organization, and it was already mentioned, I think is in some ways similar to ours. Many years ago, you said, here is a problem that we think is intersectional to the future of our business community, our local economy, and our environment, and you spoke out and you advocated for that, and you continue to advocate for that. So you understand the power of community, you understand the power of intersectionality. You want a strong local economy, but I think you want a strong local economy because you want a strong community, right? The first time that I stood up here was 6 years ago as school board president. And I've always appreciated the upstream investments that this organization has made for education and supporting education. But I'm going to tell you today that I don't think we can make real progress in our local educational outcomes until we tackle this housing crisis. I just don't think it's possible. I don't think you can have the local economy you want until we tackle this housing crisis. And I definitely don't think that we can have the resilient community that we want until we tackle this housing crisis. So I'm going to make the case that housing is the #1 most important upstream investment that we can make in order to have the prosperity and the resilience that we want as a community. So before diving into all the data, I just want to ground us in discussing housing's intersectionality a little bit more, and in particular the power of multifamily housing to create positive change. And I'm also going to lighten up a little bit and show you this adorable drawing. This adorable community that looks a little bit like ours. And there's some room, there's some open infill space, some underutilized space, some for sale signs you'll see, and you'll see not a whole lot of people out there. And I understand, I've been told that in this little community like ours, they need more housing for the people who live and work there. So when you fill that empty space with housing, especially multifamily housing, near where people work, near transit, that supports the local economy. It creates discretionary income, it creates discretionary time, and y'all know that time is money. And it creates vibrancy. It gets people out of cars, onto buses, onto trains, onto bikes, onto 2 feet. And that helps us in all kinds of ways. Filling that empty space with multifamily housing has all kinds of positive impact. First of all, the construction alone creates a local economic benefit. $1 of construction is $2.15 that cycles through the local economy. I wish I had an investment like that. Construction of multifamily housing reduces our greenhouse emissions and traffic, especially when it's de-restricted affordable housing. Because low-wage earners, and there is strong evidence to support this, when they have the ability and the opportunity to get out of their cars and use public transportation, they take it. It gives our workforce members more time to be engaged community members. It gives them more time to be engaged parents supporting their children in school. No more second jobs and odd jobs just to afford rent. It gives our workforce members more money in their pockets. Studies show that low and middle income wage earners when they have housing costs that leave them with enough money to have discretionary income to meet their basic needs, they spend it immediately and they spend it locally. They buy healthy food, they buy toys for their kids, they go to the dentist, they go to the movies, they go out for pizza, and as we know, every dollar spent in the local community circulates 4 times. More affordable multifamily housing puts the kids of our workforce members in local schools instead of schools an hour and a county away. It creates living opportunities for young professionals and workforce families so that our local businesses can attract and retain the workforce members that you need. And affordable rental housing puts young people on a path to home ownership, something that is harder and harder to achieve now. And not for nothing, new multifamily housing uses significantly less energy and way less water per capita than single-family homes. Now, just in terms of intersectionality, let me say one more thing. I want to look at one industry in specific, healthcare. Healthcare actually makes up 16% of our workforce in this county. It is the largest single sector. It is the largest single job sector, and it's probably going to get bigger, and you know why? Because we're all getting older. Every day, every minute, unfortunately. So new housing that meets our community needs helps healthcare advance its central mission because residents have more money and time to direct to wellness, healthy food, healthy habits, quality wellness care, and people who can afford healthy lifestyles help our healthcare institutions' bottom lines because wellness care is way cheaper than illness care, right? So it's good for their bottom line too. Healthcare needs workforce to fully staff up and run its facilities smoothly. It needs to run its operations efficiently. It's a whole lot cheaper to pay for full-time physical therapists and nurses than to pay for visiting physical therapists and nurses. Healthcare also needs large single-family homes and other market-rate housing to attract specialty doctors and hospital administrators. Now, we could build more of those, or we might just have enough if we can create other housing options so that overhoused seniors who are stuck in their homes, who want to downsize, can take that opportunity and free up existing housing stock. We need some movement in our housing stock, and Max will talk about that. When our healthcare system is working, and that means it doesn't take 3 weeks to get an appointment or 3 months to get a new primary care doctor, I know y'all are experiencing some of that, then our local businesses, when they try to attract and retain new employees, they get to say, we have great healthcare here. So it comes full circle. Okay, now last time I was here, I said I was going to tell you like bad news, bad news, bad news, give you an opportunity and some good news. It's kind of the same. We're gonna tell you, sorry to be a bummer. But we are gonna tell you some bad news, although I think Max is gonna make it interesting. He's better at making the bad news interesting than I am, so I'm gonna let him do that. And I'm gonna also start with some good news. We can turn this housing crisis around. We can. It is possible. And it is possible without the help of Washington or Sacramento, thank God. Although they could help, and we welcome that. It's possible without them. And I'm going to give you an example of this. And it's not the only example, but it's a great example. And talk a little bit about Minneapolis. Minneapolis, in 2017, said, we got to do something about housing. And they started the process of adopting local housing policy that incentivized housing, right? And they passed this thing called Plan 2040 in 2019, but they started in 2017, which is not that long ago, right? 7 years ago. And here's what happened since 2017. In 7 years, we have 12% increase in housing stock. And I want to be clear, it is a 12% increase in housing stock, not in housing production rates. They are killing it. Although they will also say, and they were at our summit, if you were there, you heard them say it, it's not over, right? It's not over, and they still have lots of work to do. This is an ongoing thing. A 12% decrease in homelessness. And rents have been basically flat, and when you adjust for wages, they actually have gone down. This is from local policy, and the reason why I love using Minneapolis as an example, besides the fact that they hit it out of the park, is because it started with people like us saying, we have to change something. And they started an organization, a volunteer-led organization called Neighbors for More Neighbors, and they led the charge because, listen, we are the askers, but, I mean, there's a few electeds in here. Mayor Mark Staff is here, and Hinton, who else did we have? We have got people, they are the doers. We are the askers, but the people sitting at the dais, they are the doers. But Minneapolis started with the askers, and I call them maybe not askers, I maybe call them demanders, but that's where it started. And this group knows the power of advocacy. So we can change this. That's the good news. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Max for a while.
So if I do my job correctly, hopefully in the next 12 minutes I'll give you all a good overview of our 2024 State of Housing and sort of present what our central thesis or central argument for this report is going to be. And so, okay, it works, fantastic. So the first thing I want to start with, and you don't need the second youngest person to tell you all this, but Sonoma County is aging quickly, right? And this is something to worry about because if you take a look at this graph, which really represents the age distribution of the county, you see it in 2000 and 2010 and 2020, that shape, right? And that curve, it starts moving to the right, representing how the county is aging over time. What we're worried about here is, I wish I had a laser, but if you take a look at that green curve and you compare it to that teal one, we see that big section of residents aged 35 to 54. These are really like prime age workers, right? A lot of them today are retired or approaching retirement, and they haven't been replaced. They haven't been replaced by younger workers. Think about your kid or your grandkid's favorite teacher, right? They might be working 30 years in their position. They bought a house 25 years ago. They'll probably be okay in terms of housing, in terms of staying in Sonoma County. But who's coming up to replace them? And where are they going to live? If we want to talk about Sonoma County's aging from another perspective, we can think about families. We can think about the declining proportion of families among our households. So here we're comparing the 4 North Bay counties. We're looking at just households who have children under 18, right? And let's be clear, everyone in North Bay is not doing well with this, but Sonoma County is by far doing the worst. We have the lowest proportion of households of children under 18. That trend does extend to families with children 5 and under as well, right? So people who are really interested in building a family here, building a new life here in Sonoma County. That is all worrying news for our schools, for our community, for our economy. If families are not finding Sonoma County an attractive place to raise their kids, build their family, and live their lives. Should we be surprised that families are leaving Sonoma County given the insane rise in home prices? And it doesn't matter whether you're trying to buy a home here in Sonoma County or whether you're renting. If you just look at home prices, they've been rising like crazy in 15 years. That's just half a generation. If you look at the number of homes priced at over $750,000 or even over $1 million, that is one of the biggest sections of homes in our current housing stock today. 15 years ago, it was not difficult to find a house that's entry level, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. That is almost impossible today. We see the same story with our rental units. The biggest section of our rental units are homes that are going to cost you over $2,000 a month to rent. find that ridiculous. It's about what I was paying in San Francisco. And these lower rental properties at $1,000 a month, $1,500, that used to be far more common 15 years ago. Once again, half a generation ago, they are increasingly rare. The next thing I want to talk about, just the diversity of homes. And so it's no secret, Sonoma County is full of single-family homes, and let me be clear, this is not a bad thing. This is the American dream in action. This is us living in big homes with big yards to raise our families. This is the good life, right? But with our current housing stock, because demand for living in Sonoma County is so high, because the economy is so strong, because so many people want to be here, and let's be real, land is limited, space is limited, we have to become smarter with our housing system. So we're not here to advocate getting rid of anyone's single-family homes. I think everyone on the team lives in a single-family home, right? We're saying that when we add homes, let's be conscious in adding diversity to our housing stock, to adding a more complete housing stock. And I don't mean skyscrapers, I mean duplexes, townhomes, small apartment buildings, 3 or 4 stories, buildings that fit in perfectly with the neighborhood character of all the cities we love to live in. This is something that's already there probably in your neighborhood and you just don't notice it. This is the kind of diversity in housing stock that we're talking about adding that creates a flexible, more complete housing system that serves the needs of residents throughout their entire life. Whether you're a kid living with your parents, whether you're moving out, graduating from high school and going to college, or entering the workforce, when you're considering starting a family of your own, and when you're retired and you need a smaller place to be that's easier to maintain. This is the kind of diversity and abundance we're talking about with our housing stock. And that leads me to the central thesis, the central argument we have with our report, which is that right now we really see that there is a mismatch in our households and our homes, and we're facing the consequences of this mismatch. I'm going to point your attention to the graph at the left, where we look at household sizes. See that the plurality of households are actually just 2-person households. And the second most common type of household after that is a 1-person household. These are small, usually older households. On the flip side, our houses are big. We have a dominance of 3-bedroom, then 2-bedroom, then 4-bedroom houses. Homes that are perfect for families that want to build their lives here, raise their kids here. This is good. This is a fantastic opportunity, because if we can simply build enough homes for our older seniors to downsize, free up some equity, give them a house that doesn't have a giant yard or garden to maintain every day, give them a lower tax bill or a lower rent as they're transitioning to a fixed income. If we can free up our housing stock for those households, I mean, we have a really good opportunity to help everyone else, especially our families, our prime working age residents who are looking for a place to settle in, get settled down in Sonoma County, raise their children, and build their lives. We just have to build the kind of flexibility, abundance, and diversity into our housing stock to unlock that potential, let these people be productive workers, employees, and contribute to a better economy and a better community here. Last thing I want to talk about before I hand it back to Jen for the time being, I just want to mention our vacancy rate. This is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We can see that it's around 6.5% 2 years ago. And that's really a consequence of high housing demand due to a strong economy. People have good jobs, people want to move here, but we have a constrained supply. I think the best way to think about it, it's like playing a game of musical chairs. You know, you're fighting for a place to be. You're going to hold on for dear life to the seat that you have. And of course, just like musical chairs, if you lose, then you start thinking about moving to Texas. This kind of low flexibility, right? It erodes our property tax base because if people aren't turning over in their homes, our cities are finding it difficult to keep their property tax revenue high in order to provide the critical services and infrastructure we all need. It's also bad for the real estate industry if they can't find, people literally don't have a new home to move into so someone else can take theirs. That sort of wraps up what we're my section of talking about the state of housing, this mismatch and these consequences. Pass it back to Jen.
I'm going to do a little dance up here today, just to keep it interesting for you. I think, you know, obviously, you know that I have a passion for education and local schools, and I want you to show you this chart, which is START. And it shows that at the same time that housing prices and rental prices are going up, that students are leaving our schools, that enrollment is plummeting. And we've already seen schools close throughout the county, and now the county's largest districts, Santa Rosa City Schools, I don't envy you at all, Nick Caston, are going to have to close maybe up to 5 of their 22 schools in the district due to failing enrollment. It is a crisis, and it's happening everywhere, but it is happening disproportionately here. We are losing young families disproportionate to the state and to other areas of the state. Lots of teachers are witnessing kids go away to college or just entering the workforce somewhere else. I'm sure that lots of you are hoping that your kids or grandkids can stay here after they graduate from high school or when they return to college. Tackling high rents and home prices and creating a greater supply of housing is really necessary to attract families and keep them here, increasing resources for schools and to help maintain enrollment. So this is a major problem. So let's talk about how we're doing in production right now. And I'm going to start with the county production over time, starting in about 1980. And listen, like anything, housing production is cyclical. It follows the economy to some degree. However, we see some major trends here, and the really obvious ones are like there's a big boom in the 80s. We're pretty strong in the 90s, up into the early 2000s, up into the Great Recession. Then there's a big slowdown, and then it looks like there's a big boom. Okay, so this is the county. So let's put a finer point on it and look at Santa Rosa, our largest economic and population center and our county seat. And this chart shows you a whole lot, and I think I showed you this chart or some version of it, earlier version of it, last time I was here. But it's really important because when we look at that big graph and we see that big boom, it's a little bit deceptive because the thing that it's not doing is showing, well, how much of that was fire rebuild? And fire rebuild was important and really grateful to the people who helped make it easy-ish for most people and to get us pretty close to back where we started. But that's a lot of the new housing. And then the other thing that is important to recognize is that a lot of the new housing that has been built since then, and in this big, I'm going to use air quotes and say boom, is been funded by wildfire disaster money. That is one-time money, and it is gone. So the boom, is great, but it's not a trend. It's far from a trend. The other thing that this chart shows, and it has, you see that dotted line that goes across there? That's the average production. So even in our boom, if you take away fire recovery, we are below average. And the important thing to remember about the average is what landed us in this crisis. So even doing average is not good enough. And if we are underachieving average, it is a real significant problem. The last thing that I want to point out in this chart, and I did last time I was here, but I think it's really important, especially leading into the next chart I'm going to show you, is that the recession stop in housing, screeching halt, was 10 years. But the economic event was 2 years. And it took about 3 more years to recover. The Dow, housing, home prices, the job market. So it was really a 5-year event. We pretty much recovered. But construction was halted for a decade. Because, and there's a lot of you in the industry that I see, the industry was decimated, and only certain parts of the industry could keep going. The people that were really strong going in, but the whole industry was weakened. And industry does not start and stop on a dime. So a pause is not a pause. So we cannot have a pause. And the last time I was here, I said, listen, we are at risk of another major interruption because of material prices, supply chain interruption, and most importantly, interest rate. It's making it super hard to pencil, right, Ben Wickham? Very hard to pencil. So we might have a complete stop of new projects. And I am wrong a lot, listen, but unfortunately this time I was not wrong. And this is a chart we stole from the City of Santa Rosa, thank you City of Santa Rosa. And it showed how many new projects were applied for in 2023. We're still spending recovery money, we're still a little bit flush with that kind of investment in our community compared to how many in 2024. And that's a pretty big difference, right? That is pretty close to a screeching halt. Now, I hear all the time, like, wait, what are you talking about? We're building so much. Look at all those apartments. I see it everywhere, blah, 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 blah. And I say back to them, isn't it kind of possible that we just forgot what it looks like to build? Because it's not that much. The numbers, unfortunately, don't lie. And unfortunately, we are right now on pace to underperform the recession decade. So we have to take action. We have to take action, we have to take bold action, and we have to do it strong. Together, we have to really demand it from the doers. And we sort of have opportunity. This is a business group, so I know y'all love opportunity. So hold on, we are going to give you an opportunity later. So now, the other thing that people do is they ask us, how do we compare to other communities? So let's look at two charts. This is how we compare, and these communities are chosen because they have some similarity to us. They're either similar size or somewhat similar geography. It's hard to compare communities, but this is kind of the best we can do. We do pretty well when we include fire rebuilds. And when we take away the fire rebuild to offset for that, we definitely don't. Now, when I used to get that question, my previous inclination was to say, well, who cares how we compare? Doesn't it just matter whether or not we're serving the members of our community? And on this, I was wrong. It really does matter how we compare, and it matters because we are competing with other more dense urban centers for employees. Places that have, where you can establish a home and a community, but you have lots of job opportunities surrounding you without moving your community. But we are more geographically and economically isolated. It's not enough to say we've got open space and wine tasting and craft beer anymore. If we can't offer some reasonable housing options, quality health care, quality education, and a nightlife that results from a strong housing system, open space and wine tasting can be had on a day trip from El Cerrito. So our future economic vitality, the stuff that you guys really are focused on, requires that we do just as well as these urban centers and our housing opportunities. In fact, we probably need to do better. I had coffee yesterday actually with a really impressive young man, local guy, who is applying to law school. And he grew up here, he has deep roots here. He figures after law school he'll have to work in the city for a few years to get some experience, probably pay for law school, because I'll say it ain't cheap. But he wants to live here. But what are we going to do to ensure that it makes sense, economic sense for him to live here? That he doesn't have to come here and pay so much for housing relative to wages, which are lower here, that he is just married to his house. Because he might say, you know, I could live in Albany and I can make more money and I can pay the same for housing and I can also save for my kids' education and go on more vacations and all those things. Or I can move to Texas and do all that a heck of a lot easier, right? So what are we going to do to stop the flow of brains and muscles out of the county?
What are we going to do? And I think one thing to consider before we really dive into that question and talk about our plan for how we want to change things, how we want to maintain the vitality we have here in Sonoma County, is to think about what's the alternative? What happens if you do nothing? And one person that I want to sort of look to for some advice, there's a very famous international urban planner. Actually, I'll get to that in just a second. Let's think about what happens if we do nothing. We can choose to accept the status quo, where housing is unaffordable, where our kids are leaving for better opportunities, debating on whether or not to leave the state. Families and their children are looking for places elsewhere. Their parents are looking for work elsewhere. You know, teachers, firefighters, and nurses are deciding to leave the county. Maybe we don't need them, I don't know. And Sonoma County continues to age and shrink. The kind of community that we will see result from that was elucidated very well by this international urban planner. His name is Alain Berthaud. He's originally from France. He has this wonderful book about how cities function, and he talks about this idea of retiree cities, where the idea is instead of your typical city, which is dominated by younger people, and I'll count anyone under 40 for that, younger people who are working great jobs, contributing to their economy and their community, they have these great dynamic cities. On the other hand, you increasingly see this trend of retiree cities, right? Which, as he says, are unlikely to create much economic dynamism. And of course, the retirement income that powers these cities, that these retirees bring in, will have been generated by efficiently working labor markets, aka better and more productive cities elsewhere. Does Sonoma County really want to be the retirement community of San Francisco and Oakland and San Jose? Or do we want to take our future into our own hands and continue the great legacy, the long history we have of being a fantastic place to work and live, where people come here year after year for great jobs, to innovate, to be part of booming, productive, valuable industries that are known the world over? We can make that choice because we have the local power, as Jen so well elucidated, talking about the example of Minneapolis. We have the local power to change our policy, improve our housing system and our housing supply, and preserve the economy and community that we all love here. So we're going to get started talking about our housing action plan, and we are going to do a little dance as we go through these 5 steps. So I'll start off with Jen.
First of all, Max, I count anyone under 56 as young. That'll change next year. Okay, so based on research, best practices, what's working in other communities, we have an housing action plan. I called it something different last time I was here, but it's called Housing Action Plan, and we call it Housing Action Plan forever. And it has basically 5 steps of policies. And those policies are going to be slightly different depending on the community. Everyone has a little bit different geography, a little bit different demographics, workforce, but in general, they are the same kind of buckets of policies. So there are 5 buckets, and the first one is that we need to zone for people. I mean, we need to create zoning that makes it easier to build multifamily housing in different places, that makes it easier for you to maximize your property value. If you want an ADU, if you want to build a duplex on your property for multifamily housing, for an income source, then you should be able to do that. To create more zoning opportunities for multifamily housing on transit corridors, et cetera. Right now, almost 87% of the entire zoned for housing county is zoned only exclusively for single-family homes. So it's not very efficient. It also has actually completely, totally, blatantly racist roots. It was intended to do a certain thing, and it did a certain thing. But right now, what it is preventing us from building housing efficiently and to building the kind of diversity of housing we need to have a system so that people can graduate from college and do work one place, or come out of the high school and go straight into the workforce and afford one thing, pay an affordable rent, and then move through their lives, and their housing needs change as they grow. We don't have that kind of diversity. So we got to change that through zoning, and that is something that mayors and council members get to do. I'll change it for you.
Okay, great. Our next step, fast and fair. This is our cute little name for talking about streamlining the approval process, because if anyone here is building, they know that in Sonoma County, I think anything less than a year to get your project approved could be considered lucky. Projects that should only take a few months can take years, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, just getting through the planning commission or design review board. And so one of our policy proposals is to streamline that approval process by consolidating boards such as the design review board into the planning commission, to give you a one-stop shop, only one governmental body to work with when it comes to getting your project approved. This is not rocket science. This is something that Cotati and Petaluma and Healdsburg have already done. And it's a critical step in making sure that anyone who wants to build here, who wants to use their land to build a duplex, a small apartment building, and take advantage of that, they don't have to sit through months and years and uncertainty about whether or not their project will ever be completed.
All right, Third one is finance solutions. It is so hard to get affordable housing, deed-restricted affordable housing finance. And so sometimes we need public money. Last time I was here talking about a potential regional bond, there was a miracle, and Mick Menendez stood up and said, I won't vote for new taxes. Unfortunately, as we know, despite that miracle, which I thought was a sign, that regional bond did not go forward. We will at some point, I know, be back coming to you talking about how we need a bond because we've got to have some local money to invest and to leverage. In the meantime, we work in partnership with organizations like the Red Housing Fund, the Renewal Enterprise District, Santa Rosa Metro Chamber Affordable Housing Fund, but please put a placeholder on this one. We are going to be back to peddle a bond one day, and Mick Menendez, I'm going to count on you to stand up and say, yes, new taxes on that one, because it's for housing. But this is part of an overall plan. We've got to figure out every way we can to attract money to invest locally in affordable housing.
Perfect. Next, fourth, thank you. People and planet over parking. So this is, I mean, let's be clear, we're not talking about getting rid of parking, okay? I drive a car. I hate it when I can't find a place to park. We all know how much it sucks when you can't have parking space available. But we also live in a world where, thanks to government regulations, we have created too much parking. We have set minimum standards on how much parking each house or restaurant or office needs. And so these kind of standards add a lot of sometimes unnecessary cost to getting a home built, because sometimes you don't have the land to put in 2 parking spaces per unit. Sometimes you don't have the money to put in 2 parking spaces per unit, and your project won't pencil out, it won't be attractive to tenants or residents when it gets built. So we are talking about loosening these minimum parking standards in order to make more development possible and to let developers and the residents who are going to be living in these new homes, let them make the choices about just how much parking they need. We know this is a contentious topic. We have lots of great educational material. I'll point you to our website if you're interested in learning more about this reform, because it was actually critical in the case of Minneapolis. It was the biggest factor that unlocked housing development in Minneapolis, especially in the downtown, loosening these parking minimums.
Okay, the last one is called incentivized affordability, and that is around reducing the government fees that are required to get housing built, particularly impact fees and other fees, but we are starting with impact fees. It is super hard to get things to pencil, and so we got to do everything we can to incentivize developers to choose Sonoma County and to get their deals across the financial finish line. We've been working on impact fee reform for about a year as a way to spur development. Petaluma took the lead and reducing its fees to 0 for affordable housing, so hats off to Petaluma. And then the city of Santa Rosa just followed suit, and we are super grateful for them. They reduced fees by about $10,000 a unit. That is a big reduction, so that is awesome. Next week on Tuesday, and I'm going to get to this in the opportunity for you, the Board of Supervisors is going to consider a similar plan. Staff is going to present them with a few options on how much they can reduce fees for developers, and we want to ask them to take the boldest step, to make the biggest investment, to make the biggest reductions, to get all of the projects that are right now stalled in the pipeline across the finish line, and to attract developers to Sonoma County. Say, hey, we're serious about housing, we're making it easy for you, we're making it cheaper, because we know that it is expensive and some deals just can't pencil here. Next, we're gonna, and just like heads up to everybody, we're gonna ask Windsor, Norton Park, and Healdsburg to follow their leads. So we had a big win in Santa Rosa. Listen, and we want a big win in the county, and we want to maintain this momentum. So when we have opportunity for action and QR codes up in a second, I hope you all get your phones out. Get those phones. Stop hiding your phones and pretending you're not on your phone. You actually get to get them out soon. Okay, so the last thing is, in the housing report, you're going to find report cards. And this is just, on the left-hand side, is just like an example of a report card where we look at these buckets, 4 of the 5 buckets, not the finance bucket, which is associated with the bond. And these buckets, again, are based on research and best practices. We chose the buckets, so we're in charge of the report cards, and I know that there's some folks at the cities who are a little bit upset at what the final total grades are, which are not great. But listen, That's what's current, and we want them to change. We want to give everybody A's. We want to give you an A, Roanoke Park. We want to give you an A, Sebastopol. We want to give everybody A's. And we are going to really try to work closely with these jurisdictions to do it. And while we can't reprint the report before next year, we are going to change the grades online every time they change. And we also are going to print a full-page ad in the Press Democrat every time someone makes a significant policy change so that they change their grades. We want these to change. All right. You ask, how can you take action? Thank you. It's my favorite question. Thank you for asking me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Well, first, this organization understands the power of membership. You started here. We are a membership organization also, and lots of you already are members, and we thank you for your support. But we cannot do this work without you. We need to be able to go to the Board of Supervisors and say, we have fill-in-the-blank number of members, and the bigger that fill-in-the-blank is, then the stronger we are. And of course, we have to sustain our work. So that power of membership is important. We make it easy. You can pay what you can as little as $5. $50 gets you a hat, and I think we got the best hats in town. And we'll also gratefully accept your $5,000 or $50,000. Thank you. But also, we need you to speak up. And this is an organization that also understands this. You have advocacy right there in your logo. You get it. There are some organizations that are afraid to speak up. You're not afraid to speak up. We need you to speak up. When we send you an email, an action alert, we need you to show up and speak up. And we try to make it easy for you, and there's lots of ways to do it. You can sign our coalition letters. Many of you already have signed it on impact fees. Thank you for those who are. You can sign our petitions. Remember, get your phones out. You can write emails to elected leaders. All of this we give you tools to do. You can write letters to the editor. We give you a tool for that. And of course, most importantly, anyone who has ever sat at a dais or watched it knows that the most important, most powerful thing that anyone can do is take a couple of hours off work or their evening and show up and stand up and make public comment. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be some kind of work of art. You just say, listen, we need you to take action on housing because here is how it's affecting my family, my business, my community, my neighborhood. I don't see any kids riding their bikes around the block anymore. Everybody's getting old. We need young people to say it. That's all you gotta say. It's super easy, but showing up is important. It works. This win in Santa Rosa on impact fees, it was a big one, and it came from us, powered by you. It was not in there. It was not in their housing element. It was not in their work plan for the year. Generation Housing said, here's something we need you to do. Here's a plan. And then all of our members and supporters and partners stepped up and had our backs and asked the doers to make a change, and they did. All right, so I promised this opportunity and that you got to stop hiding your phone. And when I do this for high school kids, by the way, they immediately take out their phone. So I think I'd like to see you tap into your inner 16-year-old. You can scan this to sign our petition if you have it that said we got to reduce impact fees, that we are supportive of the housing action plan. And the next thing is you can scan this if you want more information about showing up and helping at Tuesday's council Board of Supervisors meeting. That meeting is after a year of work, and we have to get this across the finish line. We have been working our tails off. Mac's on the phone with the county constantly, doing their math for them. And I hope he is here from the county, that's good. Helping them with their math. And we think that they're going to make a big change, but we have to make sure they do and hold their feet to the fire. So you can do this. Okay, with that, I think we don't have very much time. We have a few minutes for questions.
Let's do it.
Great presentation. I've not heard it before, Jen. I know you and I sit across from each other as we will later today and talk about this, but it occurs to me that, well, everything you say is totally exciting and I want to get on board with it. You're asking people who are already homeowners, already have their stuff figured out, they may own rental real estate, they want those housing prices to go up, they want their rents to go up. How do you get people to argue against their own financial well-being while doing this work? I mean, I get the aims, we want a vibrant community. What's your elevator pitch for people to get out of their NIMBYism and say, let's do this?
The data shows that your home value will not go down, period. There is absolutely no evidence to support the fear, and I understand that fear is real. I got a home too that, I want to preserve its value, that it will not go down. Ultimately, it is a stimulant to the economy that has positive externalities and is going to ultimately support your home value.
Hi, Jen. Thank you guys so much for your presentation. What is your elevator pitch to the county, or what is the math to justify reducing fees, and where do they make up that money?
That's a great question, and there's a couple things. First of all, part of the elevator pitch is that chart you saw from Santa Rosa. They're going to get 0 of 0 if they don't do something. Right now, it is so hard to get deals across the finish line that things are just going to stop. Also, it is an investment in the community that they serve, an investment in their own goals. And they are paying so much to manage and mitigate ongoing problems that are going to be solved by solving the housing crisis. So that will save their money. It's also a temporary investment while we are in an economic crisis. But the investment they're making is not huge. It is really not huge. It is kind of a temporary pause. It's not a ton of money, but ultimately should come back in higher sales taxes, in higher property taxes. And one of the other things is that these impact fees were created based on a general plan that was established long ago, and by a Nexus study that was established, I think, 7-8 years ago. Since then, there are new revenue sources, gas tax, Measure M, that will help cover, that already are covering some of those costs.
How do you go about changing the emotional and psychological framework for folks who have worked their whole life, they bought their house, they raised their kids there, they can afford it, the yard and the garden thing isn't an issue because they pay someone to cut their grass. How do you motivate those people to downsize? Because it feels to me like until you're really in your later years and need help or cannot bring in full-time help, that is someone's home, it's been the family home, and I think psychologically and emotionally it's a challenge to motivate those people to get out unless there's some hip new community of 70-some-year-olds that they're going to go party with. So.
Hey, well, listen, people laugh, but I think that that's part of it, is creating really attractive senior housing. And I think now the airport development is probably going to be just senior housing. We have some really great new senior housing projects. So I think giving an opportunity, listen, I know that there was a point when my parents said, my dad was like, I cannot mow this lawn anymore. Like, I got 1.2 acres and it's just too big, and weed whacking is too much for me now. And he was happy to downsize. He downsized into a smaller single-family home. They had that opportunity. There was enough movement in the system to create that. I think a lot of people want to be able to downsize, but we have to give a product for them, and that's what doesn't exist. So, and we don't need everybody to. Some people can stay, they can afford it, they want to stay, that's fine. But for the people who want to, they need to have an option. So a lot of it is just creating the option for that segment of the people who already want to.
All right. What a wonderful presentation. I mean, a state of housing. When you think about the education and the speakers that we have come in, that's the quality of the speakers that we want. Topics that are hard to understand, but they make it easy to understand and compelling to listen to and answer our questions. So special thanks to Jen Close and Max. Thank you for coming. A couple of special thank yous to Evelyn Mitchell from the City of Healdsburg, Nasia Hinton, City of Sebastopol, our new mayor, Mark Stapp, for Santa Rosa. And if you appreciated today's presentation, you guys are going to love Dr. Eiler, right? Who here has been to Dr. Eiler's presentation? You guys, it is one of the most well-attended events of our year. You will not want to miss it. He's fun, he's comprehensive, he's animated, he's interesting. He'll talk about our local level, our state level, how national impacts us, and it's all economics. It's all what we should look forward to with our economics for this year. So don't miss it, guys. We'll see you on, sorry. Yes, there we go. So I will look forward to seeing you guys all on February 5th. Have a wonderful month.